President Paul Biya and the French ambassador to Cameroon discussed relations between Yaounde and Paris during an audience at Unity Palace today. Christophe Guilou was bearer of a sealed message from French President Emmanuel Macron. Cameroon is on a dangerous COVID-19 resurge with more and more cases recorded on a daily basis, making a total of 33,749 so far. Experts blame the rebounds on laxity and non-respect of COVID-19 barrier measures. Plus, in our newsroom dossier tonight, we take you into the world of fake liquor flooding the markets and exposing consumers to health hazards. What is the economic cost? How do you identify the fake from the real? We tell you in this edition of the 7:30 News. Good evening and thanks for joining us on this edition. I am Gladys Tata on Anchor.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
The French president to Cameroon, His Excellency, the French ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Christophe Guilou, has delivered a sealed message from President Emmanuel Macron to President Paul Biya. This was during an audience granted by the head of state to the French ambassador at Unity Palace today. The two personalities also discussed other crucial areas of relations between both countries. Chief Unity Palace correspondent Ashin Yengti has that story.
It has been a while since French Ambassador Christophe Guilou last visited the Unity Palace. Each time he comes, he takes a pretty chunk of the president's time, but for good reason.
Son Excellence Christophe Guilou, Ambassadeur de France.
Monsieur l'ambassadeur.
They meet for 1 hour and 30 minutes, this 22nd February 2021. Relations between France and Cameroon are not just strategic, they are also far down historic and developmentally deep-seated. Today's visit has a specific agenda.
The first subject was to deliver him a letter from the French President, Mr. Emmanuel Macron.
Though the content of the letter will not be disclosed, the two of them take the opportunity to review bilateral relations between both countries.
First of all, on the COVID-19 pandemic and how Cameroon addresses it, tackles this big threat. We also had an exchange of views on how to develop and to enhance the cooperation between the two countries in fighting here the COVID-19. In light with the recent announcement of President Emmanuel Macron to provide and to make what we can in order to provide the vaccine for African countries. That was the first subject. And beyond that, we had the exchange of views on the situation here in Cameroon, in the regional international arena, and of course we exchange on the Franco-Cameroonian bilateral relationship.
It is with a certain assurance that the Paris-Yaounde axis is still reliable that the ambassador departs the Unity Palace.
As you heard in the headline, Cameroon is currently witnessing a rapid increasing number of COVID-19 patients in the country, with about 33,749 cases recorded since the outbreak of the pandemic. Dr. Fane Mahamad, Director for the Promotion of Health in Cameroon, says it is due to laxity and non-respect of COVID-19 barrier measures. Government, for its part, reminds Cameroonians that COVID-19 still remains a threat, and the only way to stem the spread is by respecting the barrier measures put in place by government. Alice Mbe tells us more.
The rate of contamination and recontamination of COVID-19 patients in the country is alarming. About 800 to 1,000 cases are recorded per week.
To date, we have recorded 33,749 cases in all the country, 523 deaths for a mortality rate of 1.5%. 31,300 and 62 recovered cases. So we had recorded more cases since than 2 months.
Health specialists say this is due to laxity and non-respect of barrier measures put in place by the government.
Our population are not more respecting the barrier measure. This has brought that higher risk contamination and recontamination.
The Ministry of Public Health is carrying out strategic campaign measures on how to fight against the spread of the pandemic.
We are also calling on all the stakeholders in the country, traditional and religious leaders and the population, to assist in the fight against COVID-19.
Medics say it is time for the population to set up vigilance against the spread of COVID-19.
The senior divisional officer from Kmer, Chamberlain Tundong, has paid a visit to some students at the Kumba District Hospital who sustained injuries as they tried to escape following rumors of COVID-19 vaccine in the school. The senior divisional officer has assured parents that government will foot the hospital bills, adding that there is no campaign for COVID-19 vaccine in his division. Tanjong Lewis Agbo, Crtv Southwest, reports.
The 3 injured students are presently at the Kumba District Hospital receiving treatment. The senior divisional officer for Kmer, Chamberlain Tundong, has extended words of encouragement while visiting the hospital.
There is no thing like that within Kmer division. I gave a firm instruction to the director of Kumba District Hospital and the GMO to take care of those treatments. The state is going to pay everything.
From a rumor that was disseminated on social media to a sad reality, students jumping from a story building following what became a false alarm that the medical team was in Kumba to vaccinate them against the COVID-19. On his part, the Southwest Regional Delegate for Public Health, Dr. Ebongo Zakios Nanje, has equally told the population of the region that there is no team on the field to vaccinate the population, especially children, at the moment against COVID-19.
There is not any vaccination program COVID-19 as at now in the region, just like it prevails or it obtains in other parts of the country.
The senior divisional officer further called on parents to remain calm and not become prey to misinformation. For now, reports from Kumba indicate everything is normal and classes have resumed as the police begin investigating the origin of the rumor.
Consumers of wines and hot drinks are decrying what they consider as fake flooding Cameroon's markets. The phenomenon that seemingly makes for good business for the promoters is being facilitated by strategies employed, some of which are complicated for ordinary eyes to see. Mukwele Prince Will Aduma went finding out and brought back the following report for the 7:30 news.
Jack Daniel tasting differently to regular consumers.
When you see the one that is not original, the degree of alcohol is too high. Yeah.
The noticeable sprouting of wine and whiskey in shops and roadsides is a pointer to a questionable phenomenon. For a closer look, however, this manager nips the business in the bud. To him, their sale at cheap prices is a pointer to their fakeness. A close look at the bottles at his joint reveals more.
Persons involved in the fabrication business come here to ask for empty bottles. They sit down and even drink whiskey. They later invite one of our staff to sell the bottles to them. Our attention is therefore drawn to that.
The phenomenon, thriving even on international waters, calls for increase in vigilance.
Those people operate in the hidings. We need information to get to them. And once we meet it in the market, in a car, when they are going to supply it, we confiscate the car. One of the functions of customs is to help other administrations. These are products that destroy, that kills. It's not good for human consumption.
Custom officials are asking for denunciations on the part of the population to enable them intercept the business chain in order to cut off the supply.
While illicit trade of liquor is not only costly in terms of the huge tax and revenue losses it imposes on the economy, the health risks it brings about are countless, from kidney and lungs problems to liver complications, health experts say. Beatrice Losamba looks at the economic losses and health hazards contraband liquor comes along with. Beatrice?
Liquor packaged in bottles and fraudulently labeled under well-known brands are found in every street corner, but have their place as well on shelves of shops for spirits. From revenue loss to tax evasion, the economic hazards it imposes is enormous. The health risks are even more.
Bad businessmen can actually go to their backyard and produce alcohol, which could end up being methanol, or even ethanol with certain chemicals in them, which would be harmful to humans in the long run.
And the proof is there. 27 people died recently in the East region after consuming odontol, a toxic homemade alcohol. 40 more were hospitalized.
There have been cases that we've seen of people who have drank what is commonly known as ofofo, many of the sachet alcohols or hot drinks, and a whole group of people who drank these have gone blind.
Made from just anything, fake liquor can be cheap but very costly to health.
Damage to your liver, damage to your eyes, you can completely go blind, damage to your brain, you lower in IQ or just become a zombie.
It is difficult to have a police officer guarding every citizen. Being aware of the dangers of contraband liquor seems to be the only tool society has to stop the poverty, economic hole, and health hazards they come along with.
Experts, however, in good whiskey say there are several tips that can help inexperienced consumers identify fake or counterfeit whiskey from the original. Some say on an open bottle, one can perform the blue flames test, which helps to identify what is good for consumption. Our reporter Cynthia Saptala went downtown Yaounde to talk to these experts to find out how one can recognize the good from the fake and even when buying. Cynthia?
Identifying original bottles of whiskey amidst the fake may seem impossible for non-fervent consumers.
Most of the time we go in a shop and we just pick a mark that we use to buy.
But experts say there are tips to watch out for that can help to distinguish that which is counterfeit. For one, they suggest that the cap of the bottle be checked to see if it hasn't been tampered with. Another tip is the stamp and tax seal. The stamp makes it possible to look online if the bottle is original.
We have asked to our producer to implant the logo of BVS on what is called the country ticket. You have the time when this country ticket has been made. That means normally it has been done in the same time.
Other experts suggest shaking the bottle for bubbles to form. For example, 40% alcohol will take 5 to 10 seconds for the bubbles to disappear. Another tip is the fill level. Older bottles of whiskey have more space. Aside from these, there is a flame and taste test which experienced bartenders can perform on an open bottle.
We also taste the whiskey to ensure that Shivers, for example, doesn't taste the same as black. Fake whiskey does have an immediate drunken effect on the consumer.
Experts also add that there is a difference between contraband and fake whiskey. Those that are contraband may be good, but the fake will have consequences on the health.
And that was our newsroom dossier on whiskey. Public Works Minister Emmanuel Ngano Jumesi is chairing a meeting in Yaounde aimed at reviewing ongoing road construction projects in the country. The review entails the evaluation of execution rates constraints and how to meet up with deadlines. Road, motorways and accompanying infrastructures in all the 10 regions will equally be cross-checked during the meeting, as you tell us, Joyce Kimbe Forwaju, in the following report.
The state engineer, the Ministry of Public Works, kicked off a series of consultations this Monday with 24 road projects in the South region. Examination of its overall execution rate, completion schedules, expenditure framework and constraints to its execution. Roads, motorways and structure projects were included. Though the execution rates are acceptable for most of the project, generally constraints like the non-OLED payment of bills are haunting the smooth execution of these road projects.
Execution rate is at 87%, but we need supplementary financing to pay workers and complete works by the 31st of December 2021.
The review is done by the project owner, contractors in charge of the works, technicians and geotechnicians control missions. Road network in all the 10 regions of Cameroon will be examined within the exercise that ends next Wednesday.
It has many times been a controversial topic, the cost of a kilometre of road in Cameroon. While some observers talk of exorbitant, those of the public works sector explain that a lot of factors come into play. How can the state reduce cost without sacrificing quality is what Clarice Aretakan went finding out. Here's our report.
Before serving its purpose, the construction of a road is preceded by studies which take into account a number of factors. They include number of kilometers, type of road, and of course, the cost of the whole project, which may integrate other structures connected to the whole. In Cameroon, though, the conversation has oftentimes been sparked by the how much of a kilometer of a tarred stretch.
You have to consider what goes into the price. Works connected to the project cause the cost to shoot up.
While there can be no development without investing in the infrastructure needed to drive it, there is the notion that if properly conceived, a road construction project can push through without the funds disbursed being subject of controversy.
The road network can fund itself. Money from toll gates can contribute. Bitumen is expensive and imported. The state can create crushing quarries.
The debate may continue, but economists insist that the national interest should prevail over individual wants.
In the West region, 5 people have died and 51 others injured after a 70-seater bus belonging to a transport agency derailed in Makato in Fumbot subdivision of the Noon. The accident occurred around midnight on Sunday, February 21. Chanceline Nanze reports that the survivors are responding to treatment at the Fumbot District Hospital and the Bafoussam Regional Hospital.
This vehicle belonging to Avenue Voyage was heading to Yaounde after loading in Koutaba and picking some other passengers in Fumbot. According to survivors, at about 11 p.m. in Malka 2, not far from the bridge over the Noon River, the brakes failed after a poorly negotiated bend and the vehicle collided with a tree, then tumbled, leading to the death of 5 people, including a 9-month-old baby and a monk.
It is about 3 times we are having accident in this particular place, especially with this agency.
The survivors were immediately rushed to the Fumbot District Hospital and the severe cases transferred to the Bafoussam Regional Hospital. Informed of the situation, administrative authorities rushed first to the scene, then to the hospital.
Medical team is taking care. Some of very delicate cases have been brought to the regional hospital.
The accident occurred just 3 weeks after the suspension of Avenue Voyage following the December 27, 2020 Ndikinimiki accident that killed more than 40 people was lifted on February 2.
Movement of people and property has resumed along the Douala-Bangui corridor. This is the substance of a working session co-chaired today in Yaounde by the Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Massenangale Bibehe, and his Central African counterpart, Arnaud Jubaye Abezene. It centered around advocating for a fluid circulation along the road corridor and the safety of truck drivers plying the Central African Republic side of the road. Gilbert Ongene reports.
All stakeholders in the business of transporting people and goods on the Douala-Bangui road corridor, including customs, police, national gendarmerie, as well as truck drivers, trade unions, are here to look for a way forward to the stalemate that has these past years grounded circulation on this corridor.
The President of the Central African Republic has taken appropriate measures with the support of multinational partners to ensure security on the road corridor.
Most of the apprehensions of the past have been addressed and most actors are now reassured.
The Central African Minister of Transport has reassured us that henceforth there will be security for all truck drivers and convoys plying this road corridor.
As the rebels in the Central African Republic lose ground and security returns, the road corridor is expected to witness intense traffic again, to the delight of inhabitants of the landlocked neighboring country.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Let's now talk about COVID-19 upsurge in Cameroon. As per latest information, there has been an increase in the number of persons hospitalized due to COVID-19 from 0.5% to 5%. Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Joseph Fonkam, are at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center to explain to the public why the sudden rebounds. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Gladys Tata. There is every need to be worried. With this increase in the number of persons who are hospitalized COVID-19 in Cameroon, the increase from 0.5% to 5% lately. Let's find out from Dr. Fokam, he is a virologist, what exactly it means. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Well, we're sorry for that sound, the quality of the sound there. We shall be coming back to Baldwin Sama maybe in the course of this newscast. And we continue with this obituary where Jean-Marcel Mengeme, former Minister of Territorial Administration, has died. The statesman who served the country in several top administrative portfolios died at the Yaounde at the weekend in Yaounde from an illness. Kilian Dandifon reports on the life of the former Minat minister.
The death of Jean-Marcel Mengeme was revealed to him.
He told me that he had to go for a burial, and I asked him, whose burial? He said, his own burial.
Though at 97, his demise came as a surprise to his family.
He was not sick. It is true that he was already feeble. It happened so fast Saturday evening. By 8 p.m., I told him to go to bed. He could not get up from the sofa. When I helped him up, he said he was going, and the situation degenerated right to the hospital where we discovered it was over.
Former Minister of Territorial Administration, first Governor of the Littoral, first Federal Inspector of the then North Region, and pioneer SDO of the Noon. The late man had other top administrative portfolios.
We were appointed the same day, he as the Director of Political Affairs and me as the Director of Territorial Organization. When he was Minister, that was when we had the Lake Nyos catastrophe. I was heading the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research.
He was a model to those who knew him.
Jean-Marcel was an icon of our administration.
He leaves behind some 10 biological children and a big family to mourn him.
In a related development, the remains of the founder of the University Institute of the Gulf of Guinea, Louis-Marie Jambo, have been laid to rest in his native village, Banka, in the Upper Cam West region. Present at the burial were administrative and traditional authorities, officials of the education sector, as well as students of the University Institute of the Gulf of Guinea. Chair Tembok reports that the Minister of Higher Education was represented at the funeral by the director in charge of the promotion of dialogue and university solidarity.
Louis-Marie Jambo, the 68-year-old veteran educationist, was laid to rest at the family residence in Banka, Batucho, in the Yopankam division in the West region. The representative of the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, Professor Joseph Lebel, administrative and traditional authorities, friends and colleagues were present to pay their last respect to the fallen hero, who was a Catholic Christian and an expert in accounting.
This man was one of the first who understand and who make applicable the new university governance of the head of state.
In the homily said by Father Suyam, Christians were called upon to note that life on earth is just a simple passage.
He was a very hard-working person, always
always teaching us from the very foundation the power of hard work and dedication. He always showed us the way how to succeed in life.
Louis-Marie Jabu was the founder of the University Institute of the Gulf of Guinea. He leaves behind a big family.
And may their souls rest in peace. The President of the Republic recently gave instructions to measures to be taken to complete the Yaounde Sports Complex. The amount needed for the completion of the construction works has created a lot of public speculation, but the facts are pretty clear. Ashinenti, you tell us.
Fact number 1. On the 16th of February 2021, the President of the Republic authorized the Minister of the Economy to contract a loan of 55 billion francs for Cameroon in connection with the completion of the Yaounde Sports Complex. Fact number 2. Soon after that, a polemic started about the nature of the transaction and suspicions of overbilling and double dealing. This has gone into every direction, and this has puzzled the public. Now, where is the truth and where ends the fiction?
Pichini, for some reason, decided to stop the project. McGill decided to finish the work, and the cost to finish that complex was 50 billion. And that is the rest of the amount that was, at the beginning. There is no manipulation. In fact, this money is not coming on top of the 163 billion. No, the money is coming on top of 113 billion that were used by Pichini. And since the government does not have the money to finish the complex, then we need that money to finish the complex.
The Yaounde Sports Complex is not just an ordinary football stadium. It is lots more.
The football stadium is about to be finished. The rate is now about 90%. So you still have some little works, particularly the technological lots that we still have to do. We are working in the hotel, in the business center, the mall, but we have not yet starting with the gymnasium, with the other components.
With Cameroon's successful organization of the CHAN acclaimed by many observers, and only 10 months to the start of the African Cup of Nations still on Cameroonian soil, the need to deliver the Yaounde Sports Complex to CAF authorities has become a pressing need.
Cameroon's flag bearer at the group stage of the CAF competition, Coton Sport of Garoua, have been drawn in Group B to play alongside defending champions RS Berkane of Morocco, JS Kabylie of Algeria, and Naspa Stars of Zambia. Coton Sport of Garoua are expected to play their first group match on the 10th of March, as we hear in the following report with Baldwin Sama.
7 years after their first stints at this stage of the CAF Cup competition, Coton Sport of Garoua will have to make use of a determination to succeed from Group B, where they have been lodged alongside defending champions, Renaissance Berkane of Morocco, a team that produced most of the Atlas Lions, who recently won the African Nations Championship in Cameroon. The other Group B opponents, JS Kabylie of Algeria, are forced to reckon with in North African football, and Napsa Stars of Zambia. The other groups have Enyimba Football Club, AS Setif, Orlando Pirates and Benghazi lodged in Group A, Etoile of Sahel, Clubs Sfaxien, Salitas FC and Al Jarraf in Group C. Meanwhile, Raja Club Athletic, Pyramids FC and Kana Football Club and Namungo drawn in Group D. Coton Sport of Garoua will play a first group match on March 10 against JS Kabylie of Algeria before playing her second match against defending champions AS Berkane on March 17. The best two teams from each group will qualify for the next round of the CAF Cup competition.
On to this advertorial, Paris Mutuel Urbain Camerounaise, PMUC, has changed the life of a citizen in Garoua who has won 70 million CFA francs betting in a race baptized the Valentine's Day Banco. The check was handed over during a ceremony at the premises of the PMUC office in Garoua. Tony Nanyongo reports that the regional director, Titi Jean-Claude, and other PMUC officials rejoiced over what they call a major win of the PMUC in the North region. And we shall be coming back to that at Victoria in a consequent newscast, and that we draw the curtains here on the 7:30 news. Do join Adele at 8:30 for the news in French. I'll be back tomorrow same time for the news in English. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.